Well, welcome back to the Steadfast Brotherhood podcast. It's been a few months. We had a nice winter break, but we're back, and we got a great guest. I'm looking forward to diving in his story with today. It's episode 15, and it's good to be back with you fellas. How are y'all doing today, Jeff, Daniel?
I'm doing good. Is it already almost the end of January?
I don't know where it went.
Well, it was episode 14 was 1st of December, end of November.
End of November?
End of November, yeah.
We just took a month off and a half almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Same.
did.
Yeah, something. Just glad to be sitting around the table. Looking forward to hearing his story and get 2026 rolling in a good way.
That's right. So we're supposed to have the worst winter storm in history coming to hit us in the next few days. So if you're listening to this, it might be a good time to listen to if you're trapped in the house. So we'll pump this out pretty quickly. I might have it out in the morning.
Bread and milk.
That's right.
Bread, milk, propane.
Yeah, the line for the propane today was nutty today.
Crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, but our guest today is Eric Seymore, and he's got a powerful story, testimony. I'm looking forward to hearing it, and hope you'll get as much joy out of the story as you're listening. But yeah, Eric, if you want to intro yourself, how you doing?
Yeah, just glad to be here. Thankful for you guys taking time and accommodating my crazy schedule. And we've been working on this from Colorado to South Carolina over the last few months. I'm from Easley, grew up here. We live in Pattersville up until about a year and a half ago. Really got a lot of green lights from God to go to Colorado with the military. Didn't have to go, volunteered to go. And, he did a lot of cool things for our family and in our lives while we were there. And found out about this from Zach Fisher and Ryan Ellenberg when they came out to visit, and was excited to hear about it, started listening, and reached out to Daniel and said, hey, I think I'm at a place now where I'm ready to tell my story. And I think from everything that I've heard, it's a pretty okay story at least. And so, just glad to be here finally making it happen.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you.
Glad to have you. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll give you the floor, and you can start wherever you'd like with your story, and nothing's really off limits as much as you want to share, and then we'll probably interject with some questions and combo in the midst of it. But
yeah, and interrupt me anytime you got questions or something. Or a lot of times when I explain things, it makes sense to me, but then I realize it may not make sense to everybody. So
I'm looking more forward to this being a soldier a long time ago, get to interrupt a lieutenant colonel.
yeah.
When I feel like it. So that's going to be a
good.
brownie points for me. I finally get to do it.
I have a feeling you probably did it back then too.
No, man. No, maybe.
And my story is, I don't know. I think it's neat. I think it's unique. I think everybody has a story, obviously. My story, I didn't tell it for a long time, and I'll kind of get into that as we go along because I didn't really feel like I was worthy to tell it. But the more I tell it, the more I'm glad I tell it. And every time I tell it to somebody, they said, hey, you should tell this, right? You should keep telling it. And so, I grew up in Easley in church, Wednesdays and Sundays, Camp McCall in the summertime, mission trips, all that stuff. And, my story really is an intersection of faith and the outdoors, two things that have been big in my life since about the time I was 15. I didn't grow up hunting, but thankfully had a good friend, Wes Frierson. He and his dad took me hunting, and, specifically my biggest passion is probably turkey hunting. And I think part of that is I killed a turkey the first morning I ever went turkey hunting in my life by myself, right? Which, if you know anything about turkey hunting, it's not impossible, but it's fairly improbable, especially when you're a 15-year-old kid and don't know what you're doing. Grew up in church, started hunting 15, 16, always had a passion for those things, but really, as I got into college and got my 20s, just started, living in a way that I knew was wrong, but intentionally made a choice to live that way anyway. Right?
Got over there to Clemson.
Yeah, that's right. So I ran from God for a long time, right? And whether that was personally, professionally, just whatever I was doing, I didn't necessarily focus on the things that I knew were important. I knew I should be doing. I knew what was right, and I knew what was wrong, right? So mine wasn't a story of ignorance, right? It was a willful choice to say, hey, well, I'm just not going to make that important. I'm just not going to do that. I want to do these things more. I want to do that more. That seems hard, right? So, really over call it a 15-year period, 20-year period, I just was not living in a way that I knew was the right way to live. And when I was in Columbia, living down there, I had a really good friend, Jason Wilkie, through work, and he looked at me and said, look, man, he said, you're not doing right? And you're not, and you need to start coming to church more, right? And I was like, you know what?
Were you in the military this time with this guy?
Yeah, so,
okay.
in the National Guard.
Okay, full-time?
No, just part-time M-Day guy, working in sales. And this is one of my customers. Got to be really good friends, and he encouraged me to get back in church. And so, during that time, we started attending more regularly, started doing the men's prayer breakfast on Fridays. But still, it was, I was half in, man. I just wasn't focused. I was just kind of checking the block, right? And so, fast forward, get married, have kids, just going through life, working, going to church, but not really engaged in a way other than just kind of checking those blocks. And then Christmas of 2021, I get a package in the mail from one of my customers up in the Kings Mountain area, a guy named Clyde Kearns, and fourth generation trucking business, dump truck business. Just a great guy. He's in his early 60s now, and he joined the Navy out of high school. Didn't have to. I mean, he had a business to go right into, wanted to serve, joined the Navy, served in the Navy for a while, then went to App State and came back in the family business. But he and I have gotten to be close, over the time I got to know him. And his package shows up at Christmas, and I told Chris, I was like, it's probably like some sausage and cheese or, some kind of chocolates or something. And I open it up, and it's this Bible right here, John Maxwell Leadership Bible. And in the Bible is this letter he wrote, and I'll read it. Yeah. So it says, Eric, it's been 17 years since I picked up the daily habit of reading the Bible. Each year, I select a new read that allows me to read the entire Bible in 1 year. Typically, the daily read will include one chapter of New Testament, one chapter of Old, one chapter of Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and when read daily, 15 to 20 minutes will allow reading the Bible in 1 year. I personally have found this time well spent and am not able to recall the many days that the read of the day has applied perfectly to the challenges I face. The Bible is indeed timeless and relevant. Eric, I hope you'll accept this gift as a challenge without strings attached to take 15 to 20 minutes each day and digest the most helpful of resources, right? And so...
Well, in this, how did it make you feel thinking, because you're married at this point, right, with your kids already. So you talk about, going to church is just a check box. We live in the Bible Belt, so most of us would say we're Christians. But actually indulging ourselves in it is two different stories, right?
That's right.
But you're expecting a sausage and cheese, something from a good buddy, and then you get this. Do you remember did you feel any type of thing? Did you feel almost like, God, this is the present, or this is a gift, or was it really like you felt like this was a God poke, is what I like to call it?
So I'm real type A, always have been. There's been very few things in life, either through help from others or resources I've been given or ability or drive, that I have not been able to accomplish if I want to, right? So for me, this is more like, all right, I like a challenge. Like, I can do this. I've never done this, right? And so I got a unique family situation. My Williams' middle name is Lawless, and my grandmother Lawless had read the Bible so many times through.
My name is Lawless.
That she couldn't remember how many times, right? And so she had always told me about that as a child. I mean, because I'd ask her, how many times you read the Bible? She's like, I lost count. I mean, so it was something I'd always wanted to do or had the desire to do, but I'd never applied myself, right? I didn't care enough to actually do it, right?
But like, because your buddy says, I'm going to challenge you, then it was an objective.
Like, you know what? I've been wanting to do this. I was like, I think it'll be good. Like, I'll start doing it, right? So I found a reading plan. And again, just, I'm not exactly living wrong, but I'm not living right. I mean, just in that weird in between, right? Where you're just not, you go to church if it's convenient, it's not a priority, right? You do devotion with your kids if you remember, right? You talk about your faith only when it's comfortable, right? So the things that I'm still struggle with all this stuff every day, right? I mean, I think that's just will probably always be a part of my story is that I'll never feel like I have arrived, right? So I start reading this challenge, and it's tough. Like, I'm doing it in the morning first thing because I found out if I can't do it first thing in the morning, I won't do it at all. And some days life gets away from me. There's some stuff in the Old Testament, like I'm just gonna be honest with you, like it's slow. It's a slow read, right? There's some other stuff that's super exciting. You're like, this is
Leviticus
super
was
cool.
very difficult for me to go through.
Yeah.
He mentioned something to me about it. He's like, wait till you get there. So I think all of us can understand that.
I'm reading along and just again going through life, reading some days, not reading others, and catching up when I miss. And then for me growing up, I mentioned Camp McCall earlier. Camp McCall was really the place for me that was always kind of the grounding point. And for those who don't know what Camp McCall is up in Sunset. It's a Baptist boys camp. I went there as a kid. It's where I got saved. One of the bigger regrets I have in life is not ever working on staff up there because I think it would have been really good for me looking back. But William, you have to have completed first grade to be able to attend, and he was finally old enough in 2022 to go. So, just kind of frame it again, Bible Challenge 21, reading up about 6 months into it, summer 22. William's finally old enough to go to Camp McCall with a group of dads and boys, and we go and just have the best weekend. So much fun. I finally get to share some stuff with him. The guy who's running Camp McCall, Matt Allen, they call him Spinner. He was actually a counselor when I was a kid, and we were close. And I hadn't seen him in 25 years.
Wow.
And got to reconnect with him up there. We actually found a picture of me and him, one from 97 and then one from 22 when we were up there. And so it was really neat. And then, that Sunday, come home from camp and something's just not right. Like, I don't feel good. Got some pain. And I told my wife, I was like, something's not right. I need to go to the doctor. So that Tuesday, I go to the doctor, and Doc's like, yeah, we'll get you checked out. It's probably nothing, right? And he's like, just get an ultrasound just in case. Like, you probably just got an infection, or you just, probably something simple.
And this is after camp.
This is the
day
Sunday we leave camp.
Okay.
Right. So that Tuesday night, I get a ping in my chart with a report about 8:30 at night, right? And of course, no doctor's office open, but I start reading and pretty quickly realize that I have more than likely have testicular cancer, right? And so I'm freaking out, trying to get a hold of some medical providers, trying to find out exactly what this report means. Like, what's the probability? Is this benign? Is it malignant? Like, what's going on? And get a hold of the doc, through a friend who works there. And he's like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. And, I just remember sitting on the porch, just kind of in shock on our back porch, and Crystal's crying. And, so, like I said, I've always been type A. I'm like, I'll fix it, it'll be all right, right? And so I go inside, and really for the first time ever, in my life, just truly submit.
Now, so at this moment, you said you're in shock, which I think all of us here at this table and anybody listening would be in the same exact shoes. Was the next thought to pray, to submit? Or was the next thought any anger, or I can do this, it's another challenge, and we're going to hit this head on? Or how did that motion go about, if you can remember?
I remember it vividly, right? Okay. And I remember just being in our bathroom, and I got on my knees. And I just was like, I was actually in the shower, just got on my knees, and the water's running over me. And I'm just like, Lord, take it. And, I said, you kill me, kill me. I said, I know where I'm going. I said, keep me here. I said, but I was like, just look out for my family. And sorry.
No, take your time.
And so, for the first time ever, I was just like, I can't do anything. I'm helpless. Like, I felt completely helpless. And, it was in that moment where, like I said, I've been running for him for 20 years, and, he caught me. And just like he always does, he caught me. And I was just like, I just felt this peace, right? I'm just like, man, I said,
In the shower.
In the shower, on my knees, just praying, weeping. Just weeping.
Yeah.
Like I have never wept like that. And just like, Lord, you win. You got me. And so, the next morning, I'm 2 weeks behind in my reading plan, right, from where I should be. That from a Bible gift that was given to me 6 months earlier for Christmas, right, and my reading is John chapter 11, right. So just, if you don't mind, start with chapter 11.
You may start at 1?
Yeah, go 1 through 4.
So John chapter 11, verse 1. The title is The Death of Lazarus. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This is Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. When he heard this, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it.
So, you can imagine, I figured out I probably got cancer. I don't know for sure, but I figured it out pretty close, right? For the first time ever, I submit. I wake up the next morning, and that's
what hit you in the mouth.
That in 2 weeks earlier, I should have read it. But because of my imperfection, I was on chapter 11 that day, and I should have been there 2 weeks before, right? And so, I was like, man, I showed that to Crystal, and I was like, I don't know what's coming. I was like, but, what do you say, right, when you read that, right? And so,
well, so I want to get the feeling on that, because I'm the type of person that'd tick me off. Because, like, man, it didn't have to do all this, and why you have to do that. Like, that was my struggles, was I was either happy or angry.
Yep.
And I would look at God moments or God posts or God things and just be mad about it, because it's like, man, you let me do this for 2 days, and now you hit me with this, man, bump you. Yeah. Kind of thing. Did you feel that, or was it like, man, I this is God's way to say, I got you, brother?
And I think that, to me, I think it was, I think this, for me, was the answer that when I finally chose to submit and truly submit, to be like.
So this was clarity to you.
Like, whether you kill me or not, I can't do anything about it. You're in control.
Gotcha.
Right. And when I read that, it was like, yep. He's like, I am in control. And so, I was like, well, touche, well played, right? So, and I didn't tell anybody other than Crystal about this for a long time, because I didn't feel like I was worthy to tell it. This happened my reading was on a Wednesday morning. We went to the beach with my family on Saturday. Couldn't get to the doctor, so spent a whole week at the beach with my family, not knowing for sure whether I had cancer or not.
Did you tell anybody on the beach trip?
Didn't tell him, my family.
So you just faked it.
I just limped along, right? I just
change socks, drink water, and
moved on. That's right, drink water. And so finally get into the to the urologist, and he's like, walk in. I heard this guy was really dry, but he's really good. Walk in, Crystal's in there. I'm just, even though I know it's in God's hand, we're all pretty imperfect, and I'm like, I'm kind of nervous. All right, what's he gonna say? He walks in, he's like, good to meet you. It's 99% chance you got cancer. We'll cut it out. You'll be all right. He's like, you got any questions? I was like, no. He's like, when you want to do it? I was like, what you doing after lunch? I was like, you good today? And he started laughing, and he was like, well, you've had your full body scan, right? And I was like, no. He's like, oh yeah, you need to go get scanned to see if you got it anywhere else. He's like, you may have it other places too. We won't know till you get scanned. I'm like, okay. And so yeah, that day I go from the doctor to get
no
scanned.
gray area with that guy.
Yeah, I go and get scanned, and that was really, I mean, I got the report, and Crystal met me, and like it was on my phone, but just like it always is before you even hear from the doc. And I was like, let's see what it is. And I started reading it, and as y'all can tell, like I'm a pretty emotional guy, like highs and lows. But I started crying, and she couldn't understand why I was crying. Like if I was crying because I had cancer, if I was crying because I didn't have cancer, and it said it was clear, and just kind of gave a further encouragement there that, hey, like, you're going to be all right. I mean, so have surgery, stage 1 cancer, get it out, everything's good to go. And so for me, like, you go from you got cancer and then you're done with having cancer in about 25 days, right? Like literally,
Less than a month.
Yeah, less than a month. From the time I figured it out to the time I had surgery. And there's all these ups and downs and swings in between, and I just like my biggest question was, I'm super healthy at the time. Why did I get cancer? Why did I get good cancer? Like, why are you not killing me? And what am I supposed to do with it? All right, like those are the questions that are running through my mind. Like all these whys. Like what is the purpose of this? Like, is it just to recalibrate me? Is it just to, show that you are in charge? Like, what's the purpose? What's the why behind this whole thing? And so, like I said, I didn't tell people the story for a long time. I mean, just because I've not always lived a life that I should have lived, and so I didn't feel worthy to tell it. And then, you fast forward, like I said, turkey hunting is a big part of who I am. Really enjoy it. Spring of 23, right? So Bible Christmas 21, cancer summer 22, spring of 23, start turkey hunting. And, as always, I kind of, I ebb and flow up and down, good choices, bad choices, just,
You're talking about still after.
I mean, and not as much, right? Like, right. I mean, really, really grounded, starting to understand, hey, faith and family, like things that matter, right? Like, but it's still, I mean, as everybody, still making mistakes, but really recalibrated to what truly matters, right? And then spring of 23, took some customers to go turkey hunting, killed a turkey in South Carolina. And so if you're not familiar with the Grand Slam is killing the 4 major subspecies of turkeys in North America, really the United States, right? So you got the Merriams, the Rios, the Eastern, and the Osceola, right? The Eastern are primarily where we are. Osceola is only in Florida. Rios kind of originated Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. Merriam's in the mountain areas of the West and some of the plains. And so if you kill all 4 of those subspecies, that's called the Grand Slam. For me, it was kind of a far-off lifetime type goal. And with technology and infrastructure, it's become easier over time for people to do it. But so I killed an Eastern in South Carolina. So I killed an Osceola. We went to Colorado for spring break as a family, and it was during turkey season. We took our gear and was really going to focus on taking William down to New Mexico to hunt. We went up to Doc Holliday's grave outside of Glenwood Springs, just touring around being tourists. And Crystal looks at me, I was like, you hear that too? She's like, yeah. I said, that's a turkey guy.
Your wife said this?
Yeah. I was like, yeah. And sure enough, we come up there by Doc Holliday's grave. There's a turkey out there gobbling and strutting right up in the graveyard. So typical easily fashion, I call up the parks and wildlife. I'm like, hey, how can I hunt up here where I am right now? I was like, there's some turkeys up here. She's like, well, you can't hunt there, but you can hunt this other spot. So scouted and found some birds on public land, went in there the next morning by myself. About died because I fell in a snow-covered ditch with no cell phone by myself in the dark in Colorado. But crawled out, killed a turkey, came back down, and we took family photos and cleaned a bird in a rental Buick, and so
Sounds like some in Chevy Chase Christmas Vacation movie.
So now I got 3 of the 4 major subspecies.
Okay.
Right. I got, and all in the same season. Right. So Grand Slam is an accomplishment. Single season Grand Slam, pretty cool. Right. So we're flying back, and I talked to Crystal, and I'm like, just saying, like I could back into the single season Grand Slam here by accident. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, if I get a Rio, like, I could do it like in one season. And she's like, just go for it. And I was like, okay. So this is later in April, early May at this point. Next later in April when there's really the Rios that, like I said, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. There's a bunch out west too. That I'm trying to find a place that I can get to, afford, have a tag for in the time frame allotted at the very end of these seasons, right? So Texas is almost done. People I talked to in Oklahoma, they're booked up. I found Kansas was over-the-counter tag, right? So you can go just buy one. I found a farmer through an internet app where you can kind of rent places to hunt, and he said he has some turkeys. It's been a tough year, but yeah, I'm welcome to come out and hunt if I want to. And I'm like, all right. So I told him I'll be in touch. Well, in the meantime, like I love helping kids get turkeys and watching people kill their first bird and stuff. And so I got a buddy, Skip Anders, and his son Liam, and Skip was like, hey, I really want you to help Liam get a bird. I was like, all right. So I at the time was hunting at a place in Pamplico, and there was a kid, his name's Jack Henry Beasley. He was in between a graduate program and a job, and so he was hunting down there every day, just killing turkeys, right? And so I called him. I said, hey, look, man, I was like, I got a kid that wants to kill a turkey. I said, are there any birds left down there? And I don't know Jack Henry at all. We're just on a group text. I know he's down there killing turkeys, so I called him and was like, hey, I know you don't know me, but I want to bring a kid. He's like, yeah, there's one bird. He said, I got it on camera. You can kill it it's the same spot every day. So I called Skip. I was like, hey, I got a meeting in Columbia Monday or Tuesday evening or something. I said, pull Liam out of school, and we're going to go kill a turkey. And he's like, all right, give me like 10 minutes. He called back. He's like, man, I don't think we can make it work. I was like, okay. So I went down there, and because I had a meeting to go to anyway. Sure enough, that bird was right where he was supposed to be. And so I ended up killing him, and I called Skip, and I was like, I told you. And he's like, I didn't know you were going without us. I said, look, man, I was like, I don't kid around about turkey hunting. I said, when I say it's time to go, it's time to go. Right?
Bump the kid.
Yeah.
I'll go get my own.
I said, I gave you a chance. So, and so, at least from what I've experienced in turkey hunting, like you giving someone else a turkey is a big deal, right? Like gifting another hunter a turkey. And so Jack Henry giving me that bird was really cool, right? 'Cause it's a challenging sport. A lot of people at turkey hunt are paranoid and quiet and peculiar, right? And I think I fit into all those categories. So I'm talking to Jack Henry about killing the bird, and I was like, man, I said I'm trying to back into this Grand Slam, but I said I don't have anybody to go with me. I don't know if I'm gonna make it work. He's like, I'll go. I said, to Kansas? He's like, yeah. I was like, you serious? He's like, yeah, I'll go. I was like, okay. So I called the farm. I said, hey, we can make it work. He's like, all right, come on. So the first time I ever met Jack Henry was the night before we flew out to Kansas. He dropped some stuff off to my house, and he's, 20 years younger than me. So, I mean, it's a pretty big age gap, but we load up, fly to Kansas, and this whole time, right, I'm still struggling with why. Why did God give me cancer? Why did he choose not to kill me? What am I supposed to do with it, right? Still haven't told a lot of people this story. And the John 11:4 story for sure. And so get out there, get set up, find some birds, go in the next morning. We're excited. Like, oh man, it's gonna be good. Like I'm gonna get a single season Grand Slam. Everything's gonna be right. Like it's gonna be awesome. And go in there, birds fly down, go across the property line. Follow some hens over there or something. So we're just kind of like, oh man, So we sat there, and he got ants. He was like, hey, I'm going to go check this river bottom up here. I said, well, I'm going to stay put. I said, those birds are going to come back here at some point. And so sure enough, about lunchtime, I heard a bird gobble way off. And it got a little closer and a little closer, and I saw a hen dusting up on the hill, and I could hear this bird gobbling. But out there in Kansas, there's only like 7 trees in the whole state,
Yeah.
right? And so
I just got back from Oklahoma.
yeah,
There's
that's
nothing
right.
in the
Yeah,
Midwest.
yeah. And so we had found this cottonwood blowdown on a creek with a bunch of limbs and kind of hunkered down in there, so I can hear this bird coming, but I can't see him yet. And finally, I mean, he's close. And I look up under this cottonwood blowdown, and I can see his spurs and his wingtips strutting, right? But he's covered up behind this log. I can't see him. And I sat there and sat there and sat there, and finally he works his way around, and there's another log kind of, facing perpendicular to where I am going towards the creek. And it tapered down slowly, and the end of the log was right there at the edge of the creek. I was like, when he gets here, I said, he's going to figure out I'm not a real hen, and that creek's going to hang him up. I was like, so as soon as he clears that log, I got to shoot him. And so sure enough, I mean, I'm standing up at this point, kind of turned behind the cottonwood, trying to get a good position. And he starts to clear the log, and about that time I click the safety off and just boom, hit him. And he rolls up, and I'm like, oh yeah. And I shuck another shell as I was shooting with a pump, and he jumps up again. I said, oh no. And I hit him again, shuck another shell. He rolls, jumps up. I was like, oh no. And shot the third time as he's running off. I split a small tree in half. And because we've been sitting there so long, I took off my pack where all my extra ammo is. It's sitting beside me, and I'm standing up. So I take off running after this turkey. Dead sprint, wide open, as hard as I can run for a half a mile, flat out. I mean, in hunting boots and toting a shotgun that's empty. I don't even know why I was carrying a gun at that point. But as hard as I can chase him, I'm just chasing him, trying to catch him, right? I don't know what I'm going to do if I catch him, but I'm trying to catch him. And finally, I mean, I give out, and he keeps running and runs off. And I'm just like, oh, and just – if you've ever missed a turkey before or missed an animal before hunting, that is a very –
I've never been hunting before.
Yeah, it's a very destitute feeling. And so I started just crying, right? And I called Crystal, and she's like, why are you crying? I said, I was like, this is going to be my way to fix it, right? This was going to be my win in life after cancer, because I'm 8-9 months removed at this point. And I was like, I'm 1,500 miles from home. I've wasted all this time and money. I was like, I let you down. I wasted all this time, for nothing. And she's like, you didn't let us down. It's just a turkey. I was like, I know it's just a turkey to you. But again, like for me, I was just going to plug the hole, right, and answer a lot of the questions with this win, right? Because to go back to I'm type A, like it's always check the block, accomplishment, work towards something, do it, move on, right? And so Jack Henry comes back over, and he is like, oh, you missed. I'm like, yeah, I missed. He's like, okay. He's like, well, we'll find another one, right? So we go to the friend of the farmer. It's got another piece of birds on it. We go over there. As soon as we get there, see a turkey going up and over the hill. So we circle around, try to get in front of him, set up. And, it's like something you see on TV. Bird comes up top of the hill with a hen breaks off. He sees a decoy, blows up and strut, starts gobbling, running down the hill. Just on a rope, right? And Jack Henry looks at me. He's like, who's going to shoot? And I was like, look, man, you take this turkey. I said, I missed. You take it, right? And this is my single season Grand Slam bird, right? Coming in. And I was like, you take it. And it gets close, and he don't miss, right? So he hammers it, and we're hugging and high-fiving and laughing and crying, and it's great. And he's like, man, that's the most selfless thing I've ever seen anybody do. And in that moment, I was like, and I didn't think about it in that context at the time, but I'm like, it was just the thing to do for me.
Did you hesitate?
I hesitated for a second.
All right,
yeah,
okay,
like,
so you wasn't that. Okay,
you take.
all right.
Kind of whispered it a little bit.
Yeah, and because so we chased them for a couple more days. We're supposed to fly out at lunchtime on that Sunday, and it becomes pretty apparent, like mid-morning on Sunday, we're not going to connect. And he's like, "Hey, I checked. There's a red eye. We can change our flights for like $50, and we can hunt all afternoon. I was like, you serious? He's like, man. He's like, we're gonna try as hard as we can. And we tried hard, and we didn't connect. And so I'm flying home, and I'm still just kind of like, man, I don't really, I'm just sad and wondering, what am I doing out here, and why am I here? And so February 1st of 24, I wake up literally out of sleep and just draw a logo. Right, and it's what will become the Rise logo, and it's 11-4 hidden in the word Rise. I literally just woke up, and I still have a picture of the sketch. Just sketched it out. And Chris was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "But I think this may be what I'm supposed to do with this story." Right?
Was it a dream? Was it a?
I don't remember having a dream. I literally just remember waking up, going like frantically looking for something, and just being like, "There it is." And I think what I learned. Kind of over that time, and really in Kansas, is like nothing's gonna fill a hole in your life but God, right? It ain't gonna be hunting. It's not Grand Slams. It's not your job. It's not money. It's not even your family. It's not chasing alcohol, fame. Any of that stuff. Nothing's ever gonna fill a void, right? And so for me, like. As imperfect as I am, right, and as reluctant as I was to tell that story about God's grace with my cancer, right, and where does it go from there, in the meantime, I'm still reading and learning and growing, realizing that God's been using dirty sinners like me forever, right, and I'm no better or worse than any of them, right, I'm just another one, and so I think in that moment, that it just kind of became, all right, I think I'm going to start telling the story, but I don't know how. I still don't know how to tell it, right? And I don't know what it's for. So I told Chris, I was like, I'm just going to get a dozen hats made, right? And so I ordered some hats that next week, so like mid-February, hoping they'll be in time, for turkey season. I was like, maybe I'll just wear these hats with this logo and tell people the story and see what happens, or give it to them when we're hunting or something. And
Was this logo and this purchase, was it your way to kind of force you into telling your story? Or was it just something you thought was cool, just wanted to make a little money and just promote something?
And so I guess my thing was, at the time, I literally just bought a dozen hats and was like, I'll give them away and just tell the story, right? Like, and maybe for me, because whether it was just me looking for it or whether it was the way God intended it, right? The revelation was made to me through my experiences hunting, right? And so for me, that the point of, hey, he's enough, like nothing else will ever matter. And, just realizing that, again, nothing's ever going to fill the void. And I think if that message can be heard from my story, that's the one I would really, if I could just pick one, just be like, hey, like he is big enough, and there is no hole he can't fill, and nothing else will fit in it, right?
Do you think that hole would have been filled if you got your Grand Slam?
I don't. That's my point. Like it would have been another block check for me.
And like, see, I can do it.
Yeah, like
it's on me.
I'm good. That's right.
Okay.
And so, I put this hat order in, and I'm supposed to go to Alaska for an exercise with the Army in March. But one of the guys going gets injured, and we don't have enough people at that point to man the way we're supposed to. And so they redirect me to go to Texas instead. Just like a good turkey hunter always does. I'm like, Texas in March? I was like, I think the South Zone's open then, right? So I start looking. Sure enough, I'm like, at the end of our exercise, it's open. I was like, but I got to get back. And guys always got a plan. My Army boss at the time said, hey, there's a briefing there in Texas on the Tuesday after your exercise ends, but I'm supposed to give it. I can't make it. Can you stick around and give the briefing? And I was like, so I have the weekend off? He's like, yeah. I was like, absolutely, right? So, again, I packed some gear and find a rancher in way west Texas that has about 100 acres on the Rio Grande River, and like on the Rio Grande River, right? And so I call him. I was like, hey, you know, I noticed you have deer and like dove hunts posts. I was like, you got any turkeys? He's like, yeah, we see them from time to time. I was like, would you be okay? I mean, you paying to hunt there? And you know, he's like, yeah. And like, if you want to, he's like, nobody's ever turkey hunted there, so this is getting better and better, right? I'm like, you got turkeys, nobody's ever hunted them. All right. So go out there, and I spent some time on the border before doing some different things, and so I kind of knew what I was getting into. And so I called the CBP guys and said, hey, look, I'm going to be out here with a gun by myself in this area. Like, you know, just I'll call you in and out just so you know where I am. And, you know, if I don't call, then you'll know to come look for me in certain spots. And, of course, I'm not telling Crystal any of this. I'm just like, oh, yeah, it's just, you know, it's just ranch in Texas. And so I go out there the day before the season opens, the exercise ends. I get out there. I'm scouting. And I thought I heard a bird gobble, so I go up. I guess this place had been a sand and gravel pit at some point. But there's like a stockpile. So I go up on top. And by that time, I see two CBP guys come blowing through with M4s, dead sprint, and I'm like, they're looking for me. So, because I got a shotgun. Oh, okay. And sure enough, I come down, and I'm running after them with a gun, yelling, and I'm like, this is a dumb idea, right? Yeah. So I go put the gun over by a tree, and then come back around. They're like, hey, are you what are you doing? I was like, I'm hunting. I was like, I called the station. I said, nobody tell y'all? And they said, you call the wrong number. They're like, call this other number, you know, and let us know what's going on. So I was like, oh, man, I appreciate it. Super good guys. And so I go in the next morning, it's opening morning, it's quiet as a mouse, right? And I don't hear anything gobbling. I'm by myself on the river. You can hear all kinds of stuff going on across the river. And I'm just like, man, you know, I guess it ain't meant to be, and it'll be what, you know, it is what it is. But I settled into comfortable spot in a mesquite tree, and about that time, turkeys just started coming out everywhere. And probably 20, 25 turkeys showed up. Never made a peep, just showed up. Had, you know, 2 or 3 strutters out there just putting on a show, and was fortunate enough to take a bird. And so I'm by myself on the Rio Grande River with a Rio Grande turkey. And it was just one of those things. Like I called Jack Henry, and you know, called my wife, and Jack Henry and I are talking and laughing and crying, and Crystal's crying, and it was just a really cool moment for me, you know, to to experience God's timing, not mine. Right? Like He knew what was going to happen before it all happened anyway. He knew how it was going to end, and having that moment for me as a hunter was really cool. And it was also like, hey, like, I can't control any of this. He's in charge, right?
So you knew even at that time, killing that bird, it wasn't about the bird. No,
it wasn't, man.
It was the fact that you knew that I didn't let you kill this one here so you could understand where I'm bringing you.
That's right.
But I'll let you get it here.
That's right. I mean, and for me as a turkey hunter, you know, it, like, again, how cool to be adjacent the river that the bird is named after. Right. I mean, how cool is that, right? Mm-hmm. And so hats come in that turkey season while I'm gone in Texas. They come in, and I just start hunting with people and handing them out. And I don't even really hand them out until people ask. They're like, what's that hat, right? Because I'm still reluctant. But I just start telling the story. And I just start framing it, you know, as it's a story of imperfection. It's a story of, you know, hope for me. It's a story of grace. And there's a guy who, a builder, Hirschberger, they're out of Pickens area. And I'm telling this story to him. And this to me is when it really hit, like something he said. He doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be on probably the first page of the book. But, I tell him this story, right, about the reading plan, about being behind, about missing the bird. And then,
so is this the first guy you told, like, kind of the whole thing?
No.
I started, first dude's not an intimate relationship with it, knows.
Yeah, and I just started, you know, when I was meeting with him, because they built the house we live in. And so we were just having a meeting, and it just came up. We started talking. I was like, hey, you know, this going on. And I know he's a believer, and I start telling that story, and I said, look, you know, I'm 2 weeks behind in the plan where I'm supposed to be. The day after I figure out I have cancer, I was like, and this was my verse, and I was like, it's really, I was like, and this is when I'm just really starting to tell people. And he said, well, you know what that tells you, doesn't it? And I said, no. He said that even in our failures, God's timing is perfect, right? Yep. And so my failure in reading didn't have an impact on God's timing. It was just the way he planned it to be, right? His timing is always perfect. And so that's what I'm trying to, over the past really year and a half, 2 years, have just been continuing to tell the story. Started at LLC, started making some regular just Rise logo T-shirts, right? And then again, last year, just woke up and had an idea. I was like, well, if we made a shirt that said "Love Jesus, Hunt Turkeys," right? And I ran it by a few people, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I was like, is it too much? Is it too forward? They were like, nah. They were like, do it. And I was like, what if I did this or that? And I kept trying to kind of figure out maybe a way around being as overt as that, right, on a piece of clothing. And finally, had a bunch of people who were like, just do it, man. And so we started making some T-shirts that said, "Love Jesus, Hunt Turkeys." And again, like in life, whatever, fill in the blank, right? It's love Jesus, play ball. Like love Jesus, do math. Love Jesus, whatever. Like, I mean, as long as you got them in priority order, right? I mean, that's what matters. And ever since we made that shirt, every time I wear it somewhere, people ask about it, comment about it, talk about it. And for me, I think that's kind of where it comes full circle. It's like, hey, man, just love Jesus, and then everything else will fall into place, right? And so, it's just a passion for me. I mean, it's not really, I wouldn't even call it much of a business at this point, right? But it's just a passion and a way to tell the story. And, again, every time I tell the story, it either relevant for someone, right? Or it's either cancer is a big part of their life, or it just opens up the door to a conversation. I was at the dentist office in Colorado Springs, had a sticker, or, got a turkey on my phone case, talking to the lady there. She's like, "You turkey hunter?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, I like turkey hunt and go check out." And I got a Rise sticker on my water bottle. And the lady's like, "Oh, another turkey sticker." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, that's actually my brand. And I tell a little bit of the story, and the receptionist is sitting there. She's not been involved at all to this point, right? And I said, "Y'all just check out my story when you get a chance, riseturkeyhunting.com. Walk away. 20 minutes later, I get a text from the lady at the counter receptionist, right? She's like, "Hey, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I got my scan tomorrow. I'm super anxious, but I just read your story." She's like, gave me some peace. And so, it's, I think it further reminds me that every time I'm scared to tell it or think I'm not good enough to tell it, if I just go tell it, God's timing is perfect, right? So.
Wow. So God's taking something that you're just humanly passionate about and gave you this sketch to force you to talk about his story that he did for you. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's
that's wild.
It's cool.
Well, guys, if anybody's on here and think you got a more creative story than that one, I think you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Well,
man,
and so too, as you went through your story, you thought about hunting turkeys every time you went somewhere, right? So, So his time and his thoughts, if you're thinking about turkey hunting all the time, then you need to be thinking about him all the time.
That's right. And again, he's gonna catch you. You can't outrun him.
And what's funny to me is listening through this, you prayed, "Hey, heal me or take me." And then you actively almost died 2 other times hunting turkeys in Colorado and then running at the Border Patrol.
That's right.
How was this change in you, just going through your whole story? I know it's a lot around the hunting stuff, but this drastic change for you with the horrible news, your submission, and everything that happened up to that, your kill. in between that and now, how has it changed for you being the head and the lead in your household amongst your? Because you got how many?
We got
kids?
two. Yep,
Two boys, right?
Boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
We got William and Nora Grace. William's 10.
So
Nora
how
Grace
has
8.
that changed from before, then cancer, and then this? Has it drastically changed how you've loved your family, how you lead your family? Did your family look different? Because way you talk about Crystal, right?
Yeah.
Seems like she's supportive. I mean, there's probably a lot of wives like, I hate when my husband go hunting. She's all for it, but
Man, I'll tell you, despite me, like, she is so supportive. She's so calm and peaceful. I'm not. I'm the exact opposite. Like, I'm just wide open, a mile a minute, just type A, go, 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 work, 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 work. She's like, just, chill. And so I think, I think God taking us to Colorado too. All this is kind of happening after, I guess, I killed a bird in March, and then we're in Colorado in July. And we don't know we're going to Colorado till like June. And we just kept getting green light after green light after green light to go, right? Like, we got time for a little more? I ended up kind of on active duty orders by accident. I was actually in there in 2023 working on an exercise and asked about a position I heard we might get in Colorado. And my Army boss was like, that's not going to happen for a long time. He's like, if it happens at all. He's like, but I need some help with the group now if you got time, right? And I told Crystal, I was like, look, I just think this is what we should be doing. Math doesn't work, but, they've been asking for help. I want to help. So going orders for like a year, right? And then right after I'm in Texas to come back, they're like, hey, we got a spot in Colorado. We want you to go. And I was like, okay. And we're here. We're comfortable. Like, we're in church. We're in schools. Life is good. Go out there to visit, riding around, and just kind of, like I said, I'm kind of an emotional guy. I just kind of lose it, riding around looking for houses. Crystal's going to be there the next day to visit to see if we're going to make that decision that week, right? And so I was like, kids not going to have any friends. Like, we don't have a church out here. My wife's not going to know anybody. Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this?
Now, mind you, we just had got to know each other.
Yeah.
Like a month or two prior to, everybody's hanging out. Oh, hey, we're going to Colorado.
Yeah. And Crystal does not want to go, and the kids do not want to go, right? And so I'm just like, what am I doing, right? So 20 minutes after I have this breakdown riding around, I'm going through this neighborhood in Colorado Springs to see a car with a Clemson sticker on it. And I'm on the phone with Crystal. I was like, you don't believe this, Crystal. I was like, there's a Clemson sticker on this car. She's like, you can go knock on the door, aren't you? I was like, I'm thinking about it.
I found out from some of my buddies that avid hunters, y'all do not mind going and knocking on some stranger's door to ask about a property or nothing.
Neither do fishermen.
No.
Like, y'all don't care, boy.
Can I fish that pond?
Yeah.
Can I hunt it?
Yeah, they don't care, boy.
And so I go up to this house in town. This young mother comes out with a dog, and I'm in my uniform, right? I don't know at the time her husband's in the Army. She got a stranger outside. She can't get a hold of her husband. And I'm like, hey, sorry to be a weirdo. I went to Clemson, saw your sticker. We're thinking about moving here. So we talked in the front yard. She puts her husband on the phone, finally gets a hold of him. We talked for 20 minutes. I was like, I'd love for you to talk to my wife. Like, her husband's from Raleigh. We don't know each other, but Clemson guy. And we talked for like 20 minutes. And I was like, here's my wife's phone number. I'd love for you to call her, maybe, connect. And she has some questions. Crystal calls me back 10 minutes later, right, and says, you know who you just met? I was like, no, who? She said, that's the Cagles friend. I said, who are the Cagles? She's like, that's the family from Providence that told me their best friends from Clemson live in Colorado Springs, and if we go out there, they would introduce us to them. She's like, we didn't know their name or where they live. She's like, that's who you just met. She's like, and they had a daughter on either side of Nora Grace and a son a little bit older than William. So from 20 minutes from why am I here, I go to, my family's not going to know anybody or have any friends. I go to ready-made friends in 20 minutes, right, in a town of 600,000 people. All right. And then we're walking downtown the next night after dinner. Crystal and I talk, and she comes in. She's like, I don't know. I don't want to do it. I look over, and there's a statue in front of the old courthouse. I was like, you can't make that up. She looks down. The guy's name is William Seymore, right, on the statue. And I was like, I'm afraid to know what happens if we don't go, right? And so she had planned on homeschooling them. And but at the last minute, Jenny Perch, the girl that I had met the day before, says, hey, you should go look at this hybrid school, they have here. There may be a spot. It may be a good fit. So call them. The lady says, hey, we don't have room for your son. We got room for your daughter, but you can get on the waiting list, and it's nobody usually drops off, right? So we change our flight to go visit this school. It seems really cool, but, they're shorthanded. They don't have a spot for William. Crystal asked about volunteering. They said they'd be in touch, and she trades a few emails, said, hey, we actually have opening for an assistant kindergarten teacher if you're interested, but we still don't have a spot for your son. So by the time the interview comes up later that week, one of the fourth grade families had dropped out. William's got a spot, and they offer Crystal a job. So now my wife and 2 kids are going to a hybrid Christian school together every day. Her pay covers the tuition and then some. And so, in the year and a half we're in Colorado, my kids are immersed in just a tremendous environment to learn about the Bible. William probably knows more about the Bible now than I do after being out there, right? And so all these things, it gave me some perspective and some time to work on Rise. I was able to, early in the morning before work, to write, write down some thoughts about all this, and again, just really grow, because you're talking about the social part of Christianity in the South. It is the exact opposite out there.
Oh yeah.
No, if people don't go to church just to go to church, you're there because you want to be, or you just don't go, and no one's ashamed to be like, yeah, I don't go to church.
Yeah, I lived in Cali. I was not in Cali for yeah.
And so, I think it was really good for us as a family to be immersed in that environment and to be intentional, right? And just like, we fail. I fail every day. Like, we didn't do everything we could have, right? But just really to grow in our faith and kind of reset, to come back here, right? To come back home with a different perspective and to say, hey, we got to keep the main thing, right? Mm-hmm. We got to focus on the faith and on, again, the only thing that'll fill that hole is God.
Mm. Wow. Man.
So I got a couple questions as far as the Rise side goes. What's your goal with it as far as sharing your story? The merch, like hunts, like what do you have a vision for that?
So I'm usually a very organized and disciplined and structured guy, but Rise has just kind of happened to the point that I was like, I'll make some hats and give them away. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll, get a bigger platform and sell some shirts and tell a story, right? Well, then, it just kind of keeps going along, right? And then either through being in person telling the story, hunting, or somebody seeing you wearing a shirt, like, when you walk into a restaurant and you got a shirt on that says "Love Jesus, Hunt Turkeys," it's a conversation starter, one way or the other, right? So it kind of opens that door just to talk about, and again, I think for me, it's important to emphasize, like, there can be accountability without judgment, right? Like, we can hold each other accountable without judging each other, right? We can say, hey, you're not doing right, but I love you anyway. Like, come spend some time with me. We can pour into each other. We can sharpen each other, as outdoorsmen, as men, as husbands, as wives, as girlfriends, just whoever it is, right? It's not male specific. And so, like, every little, like, God just keeps opening these doors, right? And it is getting much easier for me to just walk through them, right? Because every time I question it and I walk through reluctantly, it always goes well, right? And so then I walk through a little less reluctantly and even a little less reluctantly, and now, he's pulling me along. And I'm slipping and falling all the time, right? Just because, again, I don't claim to be a model of perfection. But, even this past week, I was on the waiting list to go to a show, the National Wild Turkey Federation trade show. I was 85 on the waiting list. I got an email in mid-December that just basically said, don't don't plan on it. Like there's very, very little chance. I'd called and follow up. They're like, you're not going to get in, right? And so Thursday night I got an email that says you got 48 hours, you got a spot, right? And there's now 500 people on the waiting list.
Wow.
And so, I took about 48 seconds to respond. I was like, I'm in. And I don't have any idea what I'm doing, and I don't know what we're going to accomplish up there, other than just tell some people about Jesus and talk about turkey hunting. And I think again the message is like we're all imperfect, but He's okay with that. And so we don't need to question whether He's okay with it or not. He's okay with it. And I think one of the things we talked about up there is just a simple message of we're going to put some chalkboards up, and on one of them it's going to say, "Why do you love Jesus?" And on the other one it's going to say, "Why do you hunt turkeys?" And just meet people where they are and just talk a little bit about both, and just see where it goes from there. Like I said, just keep walking through doors He opens. So.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
One more question for me, and then I guess, Chris, you can handle the rest. Just because, you're higher ranked in the military and that world, the world that I remember was, you smoke, no, you drink, no, you will. And that's more promoted and celebrated. Even if you're a weekend warrior, you're full time. How was that? Again, you being a lieutenant colonel, how has that changed from that drastic moment to having that basically contact with our Creator? How's that affected drastically, you being in that leadership role with a bunch of people that one have to force to shut up and listen to you, but how you carry yourself differently in that uniform and in that profession, and still perform your job as a lieutenant colonel, but project yourself as a believer, a Christian in that world that doesn't really promote that kind of belief or to live a certain way.
Yeah, so it's I struggle with it, right? Because for 23 years I've established a pattern within that uniform, right, of knife hands and hey, fix this and do this, and I still struggle with it, right? There's times that I do not act the way I should, right? Like just mostly from a temper standpoint for me. Like I struggle with anger a lot. And I also think that for me, in order to influence people, I believe you have to continuously put deposits in the bank before you make a withdrawal, right? So like I can walk up to you on the street and be like, hey, you should change the way you're living. You look at me like, who are you? Like, why are you talking to me? I don't know you, right? So, I think continuing to try to meet people where they are, again, to have accountability without judgment, right? To say, I'm no better than you, but here's what I know is right, right? And just, again, investing in people, right? And just, I say all the time, especially when people talk about all the things that are wrong in the world, I say, look, if we'd all just do right and love each other a little more, things would be just fine, right? Because that's what Jesus taught us, love each other. Just love, right? And so I think, there's different ways you show love to people, right? Mm-hmm. Some people it's through accountability, some people it's through kindness, some people it's through empathy, right? But trying to figure out, like, how do I put those deposits in the bank with people so that I can have real conversations with them eventually, right? Because as well as I do, too, there's a bunch of people in the military that come from all different backgrounds, right? And some are easier to reach than others. You have more common ground with some than others. And so I think just finding, finding a way to tell this story that doesn't alienate folks so that you can really make a long-lasting impact. So.
Yeah, great.
Well, I ain't got anything to add. That's good stuff. Yeah, good questions. Awesome. But yeah, let's pray and we'll close out. Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much that we can be here and that we get to do this, God. And I thank you that, man, every little part of our story is yours, and that you use every little detail to touch people and lives, Lord. And when we don't understand it, you still use it. And we look back and we see your fingerprints all over every one of our lives, God. I thank you that you've done that. Thank you that you've done that in Eric's life, as we've just heard a powerful testimony. And I pray you'd continue to use him and use Rise Turkey Hunting just to reach people for the gospel. And Lord, you can use so many different things, Lord, and I'm thankful for that. And I just pray that story would continue to reach people, and that people that need to hear it will hear it. And I pray today that if somebody's heard it that needs to connect, that they would, Lord, and you would continue to use that. And this would be a lifelong story that just reaches people for the gospel, God. We thank you today that we have this privilege, Lord. And I pray that just one listener today was just touched by your love and your mercy and your grace, God, that we don't deserve, but we thank you for. And so as we go about our ways today, that we would just remember to be bold, and we just walk through those doors with boldness for you, God. That's in your name we pray. Amen. It's been episode 15. Thank you for joining us, and we appreciate the testimony.